Hello class, I'm so happy that we are back again. So as we are winding up our course, one thing I want us to look at today is the issue of pest control. So in a nutshell, when we talk about a pest, we are talking about anything that disturbs the growth of the crop or destroys a grown-up crop. So you see, crops like pests can destroy up to 80%. They can even wipe out the whole field. So I'm going to share with you how pests work and the type of pests which destroy crops. So as I said earlier on, pests vary. There are pests which destroy the crop when it is grown up. There are pests which destroy it when it is growing, and even when it is already grown up. So it may be an insect. As you can see here, this is an insect. This insect is eating up the leaf of okra, so this is a pest. It may be animals, as you can see. Some okra here was eaten up by the cows. That is a pest also. It may be human beings who step on the plants. It may be a tractor, it may be a vehicle. Anything that disturbs the growth of the plant is considered a pest. And not only that, it may be weeds. So weeds also can be keeping pests, and the weeds themselves, they can destroy plants. So they are also considered as pests. So in a nutshell, a pest is anything that destroys the growth of a plant. A plant which is destroyed, it is not going to give you the desired yield. Let's say, for example, this okra is supposed to be yielding fruits, but because it was eaten up by the cow, it is not going to give us what we want. As a result, we are going to be hitting a loss on this plant. So a plant which is affected by pests, let's say for example, you see this okra is being affected by some pests. So the leaves are not growing as they should, because most pests, they attack from behind the leaf. Behind the leaf, this is where they work from. So you have to keep eye for them and watch them. So pests, they affect plants differently. So I'm going to share with you how they affect the plants. So there are some pests which attack crops from the roots, like especially when you're dealing with tomatoes, they are nematoids. So there are going to be some tubers on the roots, just that I don't have a tomato with nematoids. So and what I'm going to be doing when I tell you a problem, and I'm going to be also offering a solution on how you deal with that particular pest. So with nematoids, what you do is you have to make sure that you apply mulch. So this is mulch. So mulch helps to deal with nematoids. Those are things which come as a result of poor soil texture and also structure, and at the same time not rotating crops. When we say rotating crops, we're saying this year you planted okra, the other year you planted okra in the same field. That is not advised. So you have to keep on rotating the field. So nematoids can be dealt with when you do crop rotation. They can be dealt with if your soil is well rotten, loosened, and if you also apply mulch, nematoids are going to be dealt with. So those are the problems which affect the roots. So you find that your plant is going to be stunted, it's not going to be absorbing the nutrients, the watering system is not going to be absorbed, because your roots are not functioning at optimum. So make sure that you loosen your soil very well so that they don't struggle, and also you put mulch to warm the roots and also prevent the escape of nitrogen to promote the presence of living organisms. That is going to help your crop to grow very, very well. Then next, after that, there are roots which attack the stem. Those mostly they are cutworms. So they are going to cut your plant from here. So when they cut your plant from it, they're going to eat it, then it is going to dry up. So you find that the outer layer, this skin, this is the one which supply the nutrients. So the skin supplies the nutrients, then the middle part, it is the one which supply, as you can see here. So if you can see properly, so the white part is the one which supplies the nutrients, the water. Then the other part, the outer part, supplies the what's this, the water. So there's the other one supplying the nutrients and the other part is supplying the water. So once these are affected, you find that the nutrients which are coming from the leaves through photosynthesis are not going to be used up, and the water which is coming from the roots is not going to be used up because there's a disconnection. Eventually your plant is going to dry up. So they are, instead some pests, they attack the stalk. So the way you deal with these, like with the cutworms, you may have to apply maybe just a bit of mealie because they are very attracted to mealie and they are going to eat too much of it, and as a result they are going to get constipated and they are going to die. Or if not so, you can spray with liquid soap, a mixture of liquid soap and cooking oil. What it does, it is going to suffocate it, then it is going to die. And I'm sure in that PDF which I shared, that description and mixture is already there. So you can spray them direct or you can pick them just right there. And one thing you should understand is that mostly pests, they work in the morning and in the evening. So when you are spraying, you have to spray in the evening or early in the morning when they are still stuck in the plant before they start moving around. Then from there, pests, they commonly, in most cases, when you're dealing with the leafy vegetables, they attack the leaves. So what you do, you have to be scouting in your field. You check behind here. This is where most of the pests attack from. If you can see clearly, you can see here is a pest and there's another pest. So there are different types of pests which are there. So what they do is, this is where they hide from. Even when you are spraying, you don't spray on top here, because most of the organic pesticides, they work in by contact. So you have to spray from the bottom here. So the way you deal with the pests which attack the leaves, now this is how these pests are going to destroy your plants. So what they do is they get here and they're going to be sucking chlorophyll from your plant, and as a result, as they are sucking, they are putting some toxins which are not healthy for your plant, and as a result your plant is going to become stunted because it is making food, and these guys, they are eating up the energy which your plant is supposed to use to grow. And when you keep this branch, like you see, this leaf is affected, it has got some deficiencies, and because the pests are eating up the soup, so it's not growing as it should. So as a result, your plant is not going to concentrate on fruiting. So as you can see, this fruit of okra, it has been aborted because not enough nutrients are growing there. So it is concentrating on trying to heal this leaf which is sick, and by so doing, it is aborting the fruits, and as a farmer, you are losing out. So you are losing out. You see, here's another one also. So this one also, it has been aborted. So it has been aborted because enough nutrients are not going to the plant, because there are so many diseases which are affecting the plant. They are eating up the energy which is supposed to be taken to the fruits is being used up by the pests. So they suck soup. Some of them excuse me, some of them, the way they work is that they may be sucking soup from this point, and what is going to happen is that they are going to cut the plant here, then it is going to cut off, and when it cuts off, the energy is not going to go this side. Like, for example, the way leaf miners work. Leaf miners, they are common in tomatoes. They are going to make a line here, which is going to disturb the veins which are supplying the nutrients, getting the nutrients from the plant, from the leaves to the plant, then what is going to happen, those veins, they're not going to be able to take the nutrients where they're supposed to be, because there is a disconnection. Some of them, they make holes like this one. So when they make holes here, the leaf is not going to be functioning as it should. So your plant is going to be heavily affected. So some of them, they lay a lot of eggs here, and hatching is very quick. Most pests have got a very short lifespan. As a result, reproduction is very quick. So how you deal with this problem, you see, with pests you have to work with the preventive measures, not attacking them, because the time you see a pest, just know that it has reached an advanced stage. So you have to make sure that you work with prevention and not dealing with the pest itself. So if by the time you come to see a pest, just know that it has reached an advanced stage. So you have to make sure that for the crops which are easily attacked by pests like okra, rape, tomatoes, that's the nightshade family. These you have to be checking them like on a weekly basis. You go through, check behind the leaves. Then you try to hit the leaf. You can see that there are some insects which are flying around, and this is going to tell you that my field is in trouble. So the other way you deal with pests is what we call companion planting. So let's say, for example, you can see here I planted okra, then here I've got a piece of watermelon. So what you do is you plant the plants which are of different families. Like a very good companion plant would be to plant okra with the garlic or onion, because onion has got a strong smell and garlic has got a strong smell, which is going to be repelling the insects. So you plant it next here. So there's okra here, then there's onion here, okra here, onion here, okra here, onion here, like the way we did on the other side, where we put some lines of onion and garlic. By so doing, you use less of spraying, because it is going to be happening automatically. You can also plant marigold around your garden. You can also plant Mexican marigold. These have got strong scents which are going to be repelling the insects which are affecting your fields. And you know, when you use natural ways of organic farming, you find that, like in my field, I've got a lot of lizards. So they eat a lot of pests, and they are natural predators, insects which come and eat these other insects which are destroying your crops. So you find that the more you work on your soil, the more you use natural means, you find that the soil is going to be working, is going to be healing itself, then it is going to be supporting you. In by so doing, you find that there are going to be a lot of natural predators. Like I also have a lot of birds around. They come and eat, like maybe the leaf miners. So nature is helping to fight the problems which you are going to be experiencing as a farmer. And many of us, you know, we are scared about pests. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you, that there are just a few crops which are affected by pests. So like, for example, with pumpkins, there are those fungal infections. You see, there are pests and there are also fungal infections. So with fungal infections, those are infections which make a plant to rot. Then the pests, they attack the actual plant. So with like, maybe let's talk about this is a squash, pumpkin. Those, they are mostly affected by powdery mildew, that white stuff you see around the leaf. So that is a fungal infection. So how you deal with that is you have to practice crop hygiene. You have to be pruning your plants as frequent as possible, so that it doesn't become congested, so that there is aeration. So what we mean with pruning is that you remove the excess leaves. Let's say, for example, this tomato plant. So if you can see, it has got some diseased leaves. So you have to make sure that you keep removing these which are diseased. You just leave it with fresh leaves. So you should come up with a scouting program where you are looking for problems and also fixing them. So you have to remove the excess leaves, the sick leaves, so it doesn't become a thicket like this one. It's not supposed to be like that. When it is a thicket like that, diseases, they easily multiply. Diseases, this is going to be like a habitation room for a house for pests. They're going to be breeding from here. So you have to make sure that you keep your plants healthy, you remove excess leaves, and also you don't have to allow your crops to keep diseased leaves. Remove them. And one thing, if you can see, we've planted cowpeas with we've intercropped it with tomatoes. So by the time these tomato plants are going to be, these fruits are going to be done, you find that even this would be ready for harvest. Like, we can either use it as for compost, or if we want, we can let it have the fruits. So I was talking about the fruits which don't need even spraying. Like tomatoes, they need spraying like on a weekly basis. Okra needs spraying like on a weekly basis. The nightshade family, those are susceptible to diseases, so you have to keep on spraying them more frequent. So if you look at green pepper, with green pepper, you don't even need to spray them. So these are more disease tolerant and more disease resistant. So the key thing is watering. Just make sure that you water them so frequently. So you have to make sure that you water them so frequently. You talk about carrots, you don't need spraying. You just need manuring and feeding. But with cabbages, you have to spray them, because there are some larvae which get to the center. Like, let's say for example, this cabbage was destroyed. I know this one we harvested it. So let me show you like one. So like, let's say this one, it was disturbed. You find that the plant is just growing, the larva is going to be in the middle. Then it is, as the cabbage is folding, that larva is between the plant, and as a result is eating up the plant from inside. Then as it grows, you find that you'll be surprised how come there's an insect inside. So when your plant was still small, it was there inside growing. So what you do, you have to have a consistent spraying program for these crops which are more susceptible to diseases, to keep the diseases away. Now, one good thing to understand, to know, is that tomatoes which are organic, they have got less problems compared to the inorganic ones. So the organic ones, they are more disease resistant. The inorganic ones, they are less affected by diseases. So if you look at here, also we did some intercropping, very interesting. There are some groundnuts which are coming up, and if you didn't know that you can grow groundnuts all year round, you should know that you can grow groundnuts all year round, fresh groundnuts. Beetroot, you don't need spraying. It is something which you can just plant and just keep on watering. And you can see the beetroot is coming up very big. We've harvested most of them, and it only took us like a month for like these beetroots. They're like only 2 months old. They are not very old. Our garden isn't that old. So the point is, when you talk about the issue of pests, most of the crops you can grow them without spraying. Just a few crops need spraying. Then when you talk about the cherry tomatoes, you can see most of them we've harvested them. So they are more disease tolerant, and I can assure you that with the supermarkets and the hotels, you can be fetching a lot of money from these cherry tomatoes. So if you grow them, you are going to be fetching a lot of money from from cherry tomatoes. Then when you talk about also lettuce, you don't need spraying. So you're not going to be dealing with pests, because these are crops which you just plant and then it ends there. You plant them, you're just going to be watering and also feeding them. Then that is the end. So you can see this lettuce, we haven't been spraying it, and we were keeping it for seeds. Then the other plant is the eggplant. Eggplant, you need to be spraying more frequently. So if I can tell you something about the issue of pests, you don't really have to master all the pests, because there are different types of pests which are out there. So the thing you have to understand is you have to understand how to care for your plants. When you care for your plants, you're going to be dealing with all types of pests. So you have to make sure that you feed your plants, you have to make sure that you water your plants very well. Pests don't easily attack a plant which is well irrigated. So one of the challenges we've been having here is that we have got a problem with water. So we haven't been feeding giving our plants water as much as we should. So you find that some of them, they have been weakened, and some of them have been attacked by pests because we haven't been giving them enough water. So if you feed them well, you give them enough water, then you mulch them, they are well warmed up, what happens is that your plants are going to be very, very healthy. Pests won't find it easy to attack your crops. So these things I'm telling you, they are very, very, very easy to work with. So then when we also talk about the issue of onion is rarely attacked with pests. So it is a crop which has got a strong scent, which is going to be repelling the pests. So you find that it is going to be very hard for them to attack them. So if you do companion planting, like if you can see these lines of onion, they are releasing a smell which is going to the impra and also the eggplant. So it's like it's an outdoor full-time spray which we are spraying in the water, in the plants. Even going that side, there's green pepper and all these things. So the point is, pests are there, but the more you practice organic farming, the less you're going to be having problems. The more you use natural seeds, the more drought, the more disease and pest tolerant they are. So it's also the issue of, you see, even us human beings, we are always exposed to diseases, we are always exposed to problems, we are always exposed to healthy issues. But the stronger immune system you have, the more you can handle disease, the more you can tolerate disease. So the point is, take care of your plants, feed your plants, also mulch your plants, exercise proper hygiene. And as a result, what is going to happen is that your crops are going to withstand any kind of disease. You find that your crops are going to be very, very healthy. Most of the disease are not going to be able to affect your crops. So I believe this is going to help you. And also I'm going to give you a pesticide planting guide, which you can download at the bottom for you to be able to use. So when we talk about also how to make pesticides, there are two things which we look for. Number one, you don't have to use very toxic pesticide. You have to use pesticides which are also which are good for human consumption. It's very possible to use natural ways which are poisonous, because poison is extracted from nature. So what you should look for when you are using a pesticide, number one, you should look for the smell. Number two, you should be looking at the taste. So like pesticide, like that one of wormwood. Wormwood is very, very bitter. So when you spray your plants, what happens is that your plants are going, when you spray with the wormwood, it's like what you do with it, you soak it in water like for 3 days. When you soak it in water, what is going to happen is that bitterness is going to be extracted. When it is extracted, then you spray it on your crops. So when the insects want to suck, it's going to be exposed to that bitterness, and as a result, that bitterness is going to protect the pest from is going to prevent the pest from continuing sucking the soup. The number two, when you use like chili, or maybe use onion or use garlic, that pesticide, or even neem, that pesticide has got a very strong scent. So that scent is going to be repelling the insects. So the insects are going to be scared, the pests are going to be scared to attack your crop. So it's all about understanding how insects are dealt with and how they respond to certain tests. So when they smell that, they can sense that there's danger. when they test something different, they say, no, this is not the kind of test which we need. Because even just manure tea can also be used as a pesticide. Comfrey tea can also be used as a pesticide. When I talk about these teas, it's whereby you get manure, you soak it in water for 4 days. You get comfrey, you soak it in water like for 4 days, then it ferments. Then that smell is going to be very, very offensive to the insects. Even marigold, it has got a very strong scent. So anything that has got a strong scent and is not poisonous can be used as a pesticide. Anything that is very bitter and is not poisonous, it may be a remedy, like for example lemongrass. It has got a strong scent. You soak it in water, then you spray it around your garden. So you don't even have, I wouldn't say that there is a standard of organic pesticides. The thing is that just look around your garden. You look for something which is not poisonous but it has got a strong scent, or maybe it is bitter, then you can use that as a pesticide. But in a nutshell, pests can be dealt with indirect, and that is how we should deal with them. Build your crops, let your crops be strong so that they can handle pests on their own. Like you see with our green pepper, we didn't even spray it. We haven't been spraying it. So the way we feed it and the way we water it, you find that it is able to stand with a pest. So pests won't trouble you the more you work on your garden. Pests won't trouble you the more you deal with your crops. And even also, like ash can also be used as a pesticide. So there are so many pesticides which are there. But I think I've shared most of the principles which can help you grow your crops organically. So pests shouldn't bother you. Pests should be dealt with accordingly by an organic farmer. And you see, my approach, like mostly, I think most of the things we don't even have to buy them. We should learn how to make our own. By so doing, we are going to be saving a lot on cost. Like here, the principle which we have at Organic Farm 7 is we make sure that I don't know what we're going to be buying in the next future, because we'll be able to make our own seeds, we'll be able to make our own fertilizer. Like you see, we've got buckwheat over there, then we've got comfrey there, then we've got we're going to buy sun hemp. All these are going to be our fertilizers. Then when we talk about the seeds, like this green pepper, it is becoming red pepper now, and from there I want to extract some seeds which I'm going to be planting. These tomatoes, they are organic tomatoes. So all these things we are going to be recycling. So we're going to reach an extent whereby we're not going to be buying anything, but we're just going to be selling. So the profit margins are going to go very, very high compared to depending on these companies, because the prices always change. Things are not always going to be the same. So we should be looking at how can we control the value chain? How can we control the value chain as farmers? How can we be independent as farmers? But I think this is going to be very possible if you understand what to do at each and every stage. So in that PDF which I gave you for the natural pesticide, make sure that you study it and understand the reasons why you should not use chemical pesticides. Even World Health Organization discourages the use of organic, the use of chemical pesticide because of their destructive effects to the environment, to the humans, and even to nature itself. So I hope this is going to be helpful, and if you've got any specific question, feel free to ask me, and I'm going to be very ready to share with you. I'm trying my level best to share everything that that I know works, and also with the challenges that we've had with our crops. Like you see, these tomatoes, they're going to an end, and we didn't have much problems, but they seems like yes, they still want to flower. But the point is, it's very possible to grow crops organically even without using pesticide. You can be using pesticide, but minimally. So the key thing is care for the plant. So make sure that you care for your plants to your very best, and then when you do that, you're going to see how the results are going to be. So this was the Radical Farmer and making organic farming easy, and hope you had a great lesson out there. Have a good evening.